For a while, he was the greatest story in sports. A young American cyclist is diagnosed with cancer that has already spread to his lungs, his abdomen, and his brain. He is given long odds of surviving it all. He not only beats it, he comes back to the most punishing race on earth, the Tour de France, and he wins it. Then he wins it again, and again. 7 years in a row, from 1999 to 2005, a record no one had ever touched. He started a cancer foundation. Millions of people wore his yellow wristbands. Parents pointed to him and told their kids, "That is what is possible if you never give up." Lance Armstrong was not just a champion. He was hope on a bicycle. And almost all of it was a lie. Here's what makes the Armstrong story different from every other scandal in this sport. It was not one hidden motor. It was not one frozen bag of blood. It was not one mysterious package. It was a complete, organized, professional doping operation run for years at the very top of the sport, in plain sight, and protected by one of the most aggressive cover-ups sport has ever seen. His team was the U.S. Postal Service squad, funded in part by American taxpayer money. And inside that team, doping was not a personal choice. It was the program. Riders used EPO to boost their red blood cells. They drew their own blood, stored it, and transfused it back in before key stages to carry more oxygen up the climbs. They used testosterone. They built calendars around avoiding the testers. And according to the investigation that finally brought it down, Armstrong was not just a participant. He was the enforcer. Teammates testified that he expected them to dope too, that staying on the team meant following the program, and that those who would not play along did not last. For years, he got away with it because he attacked anyone who questioned him. He sued journalists. He went after former teammates and their wives. He buried doubters under lawyers and denials and his own enormous fame. He passed drug tests, hundreds of them, and waived them as proof of his innocence. And the world, desperate to believe in the cancer survivor, mostly let him. If you are one of the people who stopped watching cycling the day Armstrong was exposed, hit subscribe. This channel exists to drag every one of these frauds back into the light and to name them. Stay with me, because the official verdict, when it finally came, was even uglier than the rumors. The wall finally cracked, and it was not a drug test that did it. It was money and persistence. A Texas insurance company had refused to pay him a multi-million-dollar bonus, convinced he had cheated, and fought him for years to drag the truth into the open. Federal investigators in the United States convened a grand jury and took statements from people inside his world. And one by one, the teammates turned. A trusted lieutenant who had ridden at his side for years. Riders who had already been caught and had nothing left to protect. Their accounts lined up, detail for detail, and this time, they were given under oath. The United States Anti-Doping Agency built a case out of that sworn testimony. In October 2012, they released it. The report ran 200 pages, backed by around 1,000 more pages of evidence, 26 witnesses, 11 of them former teammates. And the conclusion was a single sentence that detonated across the sport. They called it the most sophisticated, professionalized, and successful doping program that sport has ever seen. The response was swift and total. Cycling's governing body stripped Armstrong of all 7 Tour de France titles, every single one erased. They banned him from the sport for life. They wiped out every result he had recorded going back to 1998. And then they did something almost unheard of. They refused to award those 7 tours to anyone else. No new champions were crowned. The official record simply shows 7 blank years, because the sport quietly admitted that the riders behind him were so deep in the same era of doping that there was no clean man to hand the trophy to. The head of the governing body put it bluntly. Lance Armstrong, he said, has no place in cycling. The sponsors did not wait. Within a single day, The companies that had built their brands around him dropped him, and he lost a reported $75 million in income almost overnight. He stepped down from the cancer foundation he had founded, so his disgrace would not drag it down with him. The yellow wristbands that had once meant courage now meant something else entirely. Then in January 2013, after more than a decade of furious denials, he sat down on television with Oprah Winfrey. She asked him directly, did he dope to win all 7 of his tours? And after years of lawsuits and lies and ruined reputations, he simply said, yes. He talked about it with a strange, flat calm, as if discussing a job. He had taken the drugs. He had run the program. He had looked the world in the eye and lied over and over for years. Understand what that confession did. It did not just end one man's career. It confirmed the darkest suspicion fans had been holding on to for years, that the hero was a fraud, that the tests meant nothing, that the sport had been lying to their faces the whole time. After Armstrong, you could not watch a rider attack on a mountain without the thought creeping in. We have been here before. We believed before. And we were made fools of. This is why, even now, in comment sections under every cycling video, the same lines appear. They are all cheating. There has not been a clean winner in 40 years. Of course they would. People started calling it the Tour de Pharmacy. And the man most responsible for that permanent corrosive doubt is the same man who once wore the yellow jersey 7 times. That is the real legacy, not the 7 erased titles, not the lifetime ban. The damage Armstrong did was to belief itself. Every hidden motor rumor, every frozen blood bag, every mysterious package that came after lands on an audience that learned one brutal lesson from him. Never trust the fairy tale. Because the most inspiring story the sport ever told, the cancer survivor who conquered the impossible, turned out to be the most sophisticated lie it ever produced. He survived cancer. He really did beat the odds. That part was true. But everything built on top of it, the 7 yellow jerseys, the untouchable record, the moral authority, all of it was assembled on a foundation of needles and blood bags and intimidation. And when it fell, it did not just take him down. It took down an entire era and the trust of everyone who ever believed in it. So was he the worst cheat in the history of sport, or just the one who got caught at the very top? If you want the next name the sport tried to bury, subscribe. We open these files one at a time, and we never stop at the official story.